there's the chat. What the fuck? Hey! Hey, how's it going? Sorry, just getting the stream link ready here. What are we doing tonight? What are we doing tonight? I put it in the title. I put it in the title. That's what we're doing tonight. Okay, stuff is set. We're good to go. So, part of the reason why I want to talk about this is because, you know what? There's been a lot of negativity lately in the space. And did I contribute to that? Partly. Yes, I will take my fair share of responsibility with that. Sorry, I also just need to get other things started here. Working on it. Stop that. No, I don't need a template. Hello. We really ought to look at a lot more small scale games. We do need to look at small scale games. We do. But 40K is a really good way to get people into tabletop gaming with how accessible it has become. And again, guys, you got to remember tabletop games are an investment. They are meant to they are meant to basically be things that you build over time. And that you interact with the community while you build up your army and then start playing or showing off the models that you built and painted, or just hang out in the space and enjoy the hobby. So what I want to do tonight is talk about how to get more people into Warhammer 40K and kind of shoot off from there into other games and such. Note, I only know of a few tabletop games. There's Battletech, there's Star Wars Legion, there's X-Wing. What's that one World War II tabletop game? I remember its name. Bolt Action. There's Bolt Action. Hi, dude. Love your TikToks. Thank you. Anyway, partly the reason why I want to do this is because I have... Essentially, I've had it with the gatekeepers, and I just want to bring more people into the hobby. Not out of spite, but because I don't want the stuff that I love to be ruined by assholes. And I just want everybody to enjoy a series that I enjoy. And note, when you get into Warhammer, you don't have to know fuck all. I have met people who play the Warhammer 40k game and know nothing about the lore. They only play the game because they find the game to be genuinely fun. Thank you. Bolt Action and Conflict 47. I got into both 40k and Battletech the same way through the video games. Exactly. 40k, Warhammer has done a very excellent job of marketing itself outside of its base, original player base. And part of that is because, well, they just had a shotgun strategy. Think about it. When Relic died, how many 40k games just came out? Well, Relic didn't die. When THQ went under, how many different people picked up a 40k license just to make shovelware or something that was like decent and okay, but nothing you'd come back to? Plenty of times. And that was essentially it for a while, but it started leaking more and more into the space, along with the success of the books, because remember, it was a big-ass thing when Horus Heresy Book 1 hit #1 seller in the New York Times. Regular people outside the space were getting into it. People were starting to get curious about this universe, this grim, dark, sci-fi, science fiction fantasy that was built up over the course of 40 to 50 years. And a lot of people either got into it or they hit a wall. And it's the wall I want to talk about, because the wall is not just a big-ass wall. It is layered. There are layers to this wall, where there's complications on each one. First, price. When people see the cool models, when people see the really cool-looking game, they think, oh, it's just a plastic toy game. Like, toys are like $10 to $15, maybe $50 if we're going extravagant for like stuff that size. And then they see the price tag. $75 for 10 Marines. $50 for a single model. The reason why 40k does that, and it's a pretty stupid reason in my opinion, is because they're a modeling company first, game company second, is what they've constantly said in their investors meetings. They make cool models and have a game where you can use those models in. They're always going to prioritize that their models are like anime figurines. So, yes, when someone new to 40k sees the price tag, they're going to go, and you have to just be straightforward and honest with that. You just have to tell them it's expensive. But here's the thing. All hobbies are expensive. Video games are expensive. Shoes are expensive. Collecting shit is expensive. A hobby is an investment. It is an investment of your time, your energy, and some of your money. Don't go spooling. Don't go and splurge your entire paycheck onto multiple different armies. My rule of thumb to anyone who's asking is focus on one. Focus on an army that looks good to you. If that's the Space Marines, perfect. If it's the Eldar, perfect. Okay, but what else from there? Well, it depends on what you want to do, which is the second tier. What are they here for? Again, not everyone is here to play the game. Not everyone is here to paint the models, and not everyone is here to do either. Essentially, we have a triangle of people. People, with the middle being, oh, I'm into all three, but there is 3 different points that I can usually slot people into. First, I only want to play the game, I don't care about the lore, and I don't care about painting. I will just pay someone else to paint it for me. Okay, cool. So, essentially, you just point them in the direction of an army, you point them in the directions of a rules guide, either online or maybe one of my videos for a Warhammer army guide to give them a basic rundown of what army they should play. But the idea is that they're only here to play the game. Perfectly fine. I give them the resources to help play that game. Let them know that you need this, this, and this. And then play some practice games with them. Get them invested in the game by playing. And let them know that you're new to this. This is a very weird way to play a game. It's not like any other board game you've played. So it's going to take some time and it's going to take some doing. Because you don't learn a game instantly. No one played hockey and instantly knew the rules. Okay, so then painting. Again, very simple, very easy to deal with. These people just like the models, they like how cool they look. Just say, hey, these are the easiest ones to start with, and these are the hardest ones by what the community has agreed upon. Here are some painting tutorials done by the actual people who make these models, and here's some other tutorials online that are made by people who don't work for the company, but are still extremely good. Then there's the people who are, I'm not into the models, I'm not into the tabletop, but I like Warhammer. What do I do? Video games, books, the new TV show, the animations, all that kind of stuff. Yes, Warhammer Plus is shit, I get it. I got it only for the Pariah Nexus thing, and we go from there. But genuinely, 40K has tons of fascinating books, tons of really good reads, and really, really interesting and fluffy things to look at. They're all very good, and the one thing I will give Warhammer Plus credit for is their archive system. They have the entirety of all their books, all the White Dwarfs, everything in the vault, which is highly accessible. Everyone can use it, and hey, you can look back on old previous campaigns. You can look at what GW used to do. You could look how 40K used to be. You could read old battle reports. Fuck, that was my favorite thing to do when my auntie bought me like 200 copies of White Dwarf from a fucking garage sale. It was great. Reading all those battle reports was fucking fantastic. Reading about how a guard regiment on Armageddon had to fight orcs and it was tooth and fucking nail the entire time, but eventually they lost. That was a fun read. Or how the Crimson Fists fought an orc horde. That shit was fun too. Or how an Eldar army absolutely smacked down a Black Templar's army. Always fun reads. There is plenty for the person that doesn't want to play the tabletop game, isn't interested in the models. There is plenty for them to get into when it comes to Warhammer 40K. So that's the second wall. What, like the categorized people. Okay, awesome. Next thing. Rules. So this is a major thing. One of the reasons why I made a basic army guide for Warhammer 40K on my YouTube was because my wife really struggles with the rules. And it's because their brain is very literal thinking. They have a hard time comprehending some of the things that 40K is telling them, i.e., how the strength system works, how the AP system works, how certain objectives and actions work. Those are a real struggle for their brain. Because when we think counting down on a dice, we think counting 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 40K, counting down is backwards, i.e., 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then nothing after 6. It is very hard for their brain to be able to do that. Whereas, for me, it's very easy. But again, literal lateral thinking over my ability to adapt and understand.
Talking about how I can't do 40K math?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm trained in accounting, not counting backwards.
But yeah, so what is the best way to describe, what's the best way to help someone with those rules? Don't read the fluff. Don't read the rule as don't read the full thing, because the text is what's confusing them. Break it down or sum it up. Or just give them the answer. I.e., my Space Marine has a 3-up save. Their gun has AP -3. That is a 6 to save. You have to roll 6. I have to roll 6 to stop your shots. You just tell them the answer. Or, oh, Gazgul Mag Uruk Thraka gives +1 to everybody who's charging with him. Gazgul and his boys now hit on 2s instead of 3s. Very, very simple. Very simple for newcomers. Very simple for people like my wife who struggle with the extra fluff of what they're being talked to about. And people would consider this like, oh, well, you're dumbing it down. You're talking down to them. No. We are dumbing it down, but it's to help them understand what the fuck is going on. So that way, they can make an informed tactical decision. I.e., dumb it down to make it easier for everyone else to play. Not everyone is Einstein. Not everyone's a brick. Even I struggle with some rules here and there. I got some rules wrong because just how weirdly they were worded. And then I had someone break it down for me, and hey, what do you know? I understood it. Being able to communicate and talk is all about what 40K is. Talking through it all works very well. Alright. Then there is the next tier after that, the next part of the wall. What am I expected to do? For most people, when they come into the 40K community, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what to do, they don't know who to talk to. Perfectly fine. The rules as written for 40K are simple. Be kind, be patient, talk it out and communicate. It's for everyone. If someone is genuinely curious at the table, bring them in. Just say like, hey, like if they come up asking a question, just answer. It's very easy. But there's also etiquette at the table as well. I.e., if you see someone's doing their turn, don't talk to them. Ask the person who's like standing there waiting. Because that person is standing there waiting. They can answer the question. Whereas the other person, they're focusing. Let them focus. And if you are watching those games because you're trying to learn, just ask questions here or there from both sides. You are there to learn from both sides, so just ask questions like, hey, What's that unit do? What is that guy doing? 40k communities, most of the time, are really good at answering those questions. They are very open and kind and polite. And very patient individuals. We play a game where we have to roll dice. We have to be patient. All right. Do I have next up after that? Do I have to know every army in Warhammer? No, you do not. You do not have to know what every army in 40k does, unless you're playing competitive. Because in competitive, you are trying to win. You are trying to maximize your success. If you're playing for fun, no, you do not know. You do not have to know how every army fucking plays. No, understanding that every army has like its gimmick, perfectly fine. And you'll learn that as you play. Like the Space Marines, jack of all trades, but we got specific groups that specialize in some things. Imperial Guard, masters of the holding the line. Eldar, fast, elegant, can't take a hit but can deal a lot of fucking damage. Can hit really fucking hard. Orcs, swarm junk army. We're cheap, we hit hard, we're fast, but we're very, very fragile, and we'll die very quickly. Tyranids, swarm army based on giant bugs and smaller bugs. No vehicles, only monsters. Necrons, undying machines. They just don't stay dead. And that's essentially all you have to know, is just the basics of what that army does. Because that's their identity. That's their characteristics. And then once you understand that, you can genuinely make a core strategy on how to deal with them. And then just accept that sometimes you win, and sometimes you lose. Totally fine. Now comes to a really hard topic. What do we do about the assholes that will try and stop new people from coming in? The best solution that I have is just you call them out, and if they don't want to play, fine. They won't play. They won't play here. I've already called out multiple of these people. They usually don't play 40k. Most tabletop groups have a rule of either keep your fucking personal business outside that door, or if you're any of these kinds of assholes, i.e. the swastika mustache wearing assholes, get the fuck out. You are not welcome here. Most communities are safe. There are groups that are not safe. They are very territorial. They're very awful. They're toxic as fuck. And sometimes they're the only group around, which sucks. And there's not much you can do about it. Except maybe make your own. Start your own group. There's always going to be assholes, but it's how we deal with those assholes is how we make the 40k community more welcoming, more inviting, and bring more people in. To show everyone that, no, we aren't those assholes over there. We're better than that. Those assholes latched on to us like a leech. And they get no nutrients, no nothing out of it. Fuck them. Exactly, Ranger. Some people are there to, just play the game. Some people are there just for that. Which is totally fair. After that, okay. Now what? I have my army. I've been playing some games. What do I do now? You keep doing that. You can't do it every day, but ask around, keep interacting, keep enjoying, and just talk with them. Ask them what they like, ask them what they don't like. Getting people invested is not just things that you like, it's things that they find infuriating. It's things that make them more passionate about what they're doing. It's things that they're different ideas of what they want and what they need for the game, and just having those discussions go back and forth. Something that I want to remind a lot of people, especially with like the female Space Marine argument, it's not a need, it's a want. We would like that to be the case. We would want that in the game. It would give us far more customization options than what we're getting now. A lot of the 40k models are push to fit, which is boring. And unless you're very skilled with green stuff and modeling stuff yourself, a lot of people are stuck with push to fit, with a lot of models looking the same. Unless you paint them differently, which if you're painting one faction, they're gonna look the fucking same. Having more customization options is not a bad thing. It is in fact a very good thing. And just because you're adding more customization options does not mean it's bad. If you having more customization means that, hey, you get to pick and choose what you want. Oh my god, options. Just like how you adjust the settings in a video game, you have options on what you want your army to be, how you want it to look, how you want it to play. My Ultramarines, very heavy infantry army. My World Leaders, very heavy infantry army with Angron.
There's enough for another cup if you want.
I love you.
I love you. Can you kiss you?
Getting people excited and interested in talking about this means that they create more for the community. They give us more to interact with. They have more to interact with. They have people that are interested in who they are and what they do. There are plenty of people that have been sponsored by GW to paint for them, and plenty of people who were outside the space as writers who started writing 40k fanfiction who became writers for Black Library and official codexes. And all that happened because they were welcomed in by a very loving and very inviting community. And before anyone asks, Reddit and Twitter are not the 40k community. They are not, and they do not make it up. There are 4.6 million of us. LGS is the ultimate check your shit at the door. You know, the Los Angeles Open. The biggest 40k tournament in the world. Multiple minority groups, LGBTQ folks, all those people have stated they have never felt safer anywhere in their life. Because LGS is, yes, where a lot of the sweaty people go, where they want to win, but being sweaty does not mean that you're a dick. Everybody is there to have a good fucking time and have a roaring fucking success, or see, just, you know, show off the drip. Show off the fucking gains, dude. Fucking, holy shit. Watching Bricky's video. He had Night Lords versus Tau Empire. Where's your army? Oh, I brought 3 Storm Surges. The Storm Surge guy lost in on the tabletop game, but he won in the drip game. Man brought a full diorama for his Tau army. Looked fucking sick. Never, ever doubt the power of the 40k community when it comes to creativity, acceptance, and love. Okay. So now they're in the hobby. They're probably buying a second army, but now they're seeing all these other games. All these other Warhammer games. Maybe AOS. Maybe Horus Heresy. Kill Team. Kill Team is a very excellent way to get someone into Warhammer, by the way. But what about other games? Star Wars Legion, X-Wing, BattleTech, Bolt Action. All these different games. They all play very differently to 40k. They do. Sometimes I'm more interested in playing BattleTech than I am playing 40k at the time. Sometimes I'm more interested in the more complicated rule set of Horus Heresy than 40k. Necromunda, Titanicus, yes, tons of different game options. Tons. You are not stuck with just 40k. Star Wars Armada. Star Wars has got like 3 tabletop games, and I played X-Wing, not for me, but I see the love and the appeal for it. I've seen Legion be played, very successful. A lot of people love it. Armada, I have not seen many people play it, but just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. So, what if that person wants to expand their horizon? Encourage it. Encourage them to expand their horizons. Because, A, it gives you a way to see, hey, maybe this game might be for me. Because if they have a good experience with it, if they have a good opinion of it, I might go invest in it. I might have more games to play and more people to interact with. Holy shit! Oh my god! Playing games with people and having fun? Who would have fucking guessed? I actually thought about getting into Star Wars Legion, buying a Separatist army, because I like droids. I like the droid army. I like the B1s. I like the super battle droids. I like the droidicas. The Magna Guard are some of my favorite robot designs. If I was to get into Legion, that would be where I start. I would start with the droids. Because I like robots. Speaking of someone who was introduced to Warhammer to a friend of mine, he said that the main thing holding him back is that the game costs so much to get into. Again, investment of time, money, and energy. It is expensive. You can't lie about that. But there are ways to get around it, and there are creative ways, i.e. 3D printing, buying your army secondhand, that kind of thing. 40k does have a historical game. Horus Heresy is a historical game. It is 30k is written. The 30k game is more complicated than 40k because it is treating itself as a historical game for Warhammer 40k. It has a lot more complicated rules. It has a lot more complicated systems, but it has more closer to as you can get to old editions of Warhammer 40k. I am never going to say realistic. Well, the 40k books, which one do I least recommend? Furious Abyss. That book is just Horus Heresy, but the Ultramarines are 40k Ultramarines, the Space Wolves are 40k Space Wolves, and the Word Bearers are 40k Word Bearers. Which makes no sense. Yo, Clanker Bro, love the droids, but I'm always sucker for power armor and robots. There's even a new 30k game, but if I want to branch out into other games, I jump into Battletech Tabletop. The last time I played was when Wid's Kids had the HeroClix style game. Battletech is an extremely fun and a very good way to get somebody into tabletop gaming as well. You know why? Marginally, it's cheaper. You buy one starter box and you're set for life. You do not need anything else. The Alpha Strike box, perfect. Absolute perfection. The Alpha Strike box has tons of mechs in it, and it's like only $100 and you're set for the rest of your life. You don't need to buy any of the expansion packs. You don't need anything else. But they're there if you want it. And Battletech is such a simple game, my wife regularly schools me in it. My wife is crazy with that game. Very accessible, very easy to get into, very fun. And it adds... And you can't build the models, sadly. You can't customize them the way that you would with a 40k model without drastically damaging the model and then having to fix it up. But where it lacks in model creativity, it gives you so much more in gameplay creativity. Building your lance, building your mech. Yeah, sure, what the fuck? The Mad Cat, or what the fuck is it called? Why am I forgetting its name? Timberwolf. The Timberwolf has 2 sets of missiles and two laser cannons. But what if I don't want laser cannons? Maybe I want Gauss. I'll be right back. I use the washroom. Be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry. Need to use the bathroom. I am back. Okay. Maybe I don't want missiles on my Timberwolf. Maybe I want more laser cannons instead of the missile racks. You can do that. And fucking Battletech gives you far more options in which tech level you want to play at. Yeah, I want to field more mechs, so let's do a more earlier age of Battletech, which gives us much less options when it comes to mechs, but it gives us much more options to field more mechs. Oh, that felt good. Okay. But, okay. Getting people into the games is one thing. What happens when they ask, is there much more complicated games? Some people want a challenge, and honestly, Bolt Action and Horus Heresy is where I consider it to be brain challenging, not, oh my god, I want to die reading this challenging. The reason why I say Horus Heresy is more complicated is because it is. It is sort of, it has the understanding of 40k 8th and 9th edition, where you have to make the game accessible to people that want to play, but it still has that complicated rule set that earlier editions of Warhammer had, such as infantry, unique special rules for units, not keywords. Certain units having different abilities based on what armor they're wearing or what they can and cannot do. Vehicles with armor value, not toughness, i.e. front, side, rear. Here. If I take someone from 40k and I put them in 30k, yeah, the general gist of 40k is still there, but the mechanics of what to do and how to do it are very different. I.e., 40k, I see a vehicle. It has a toughness of 12. I need weapons that are strength 12 or higher to be able to hurt this thing more reliably. Or I need tons of weapons with decent amount of armor penetration to hurt it. 30k looks at that tank and goes, okay, so you see your weapon strength, you now take that weapon, if you hit, you now have to roll a d6 or 2d6 if you're a melta weapon within half range, and you have to roll essentially equal to its armor value to glance it, which takes off a hull point, which is a wound, and then if you go above the armor value, you penetrate it, which means that you go onto the armor table. And if you're on the armor table, you have six outcomes that can happen. 1 to 3 is basically crew shaken, i.e., oh no, the tank's fucking been shaken, we can only make snapshots, but we can move normally. Stunned, tank can't move, tank can only snapshot. Immobilized, fuck you, you can't move anymore. Weapon destroyed, oh god, we lost a gun. And then there's explosion. But how do you get explosion? It's a 7. Evan, well, you see your AP value, you see how complicated this gets? It's a lot of explaining. It can be dumbed down, i.e., depending on the size of the AP, you add 1 or 2 to the roll, but you still see the point. It gets really fucking annoying. It's more complicated. And some people don't want that complication. Some people do want that complication. I like 30k. I like its rule set. I like how it's played. Trying to explain it to my wife. 40k clearly tells you what you need to roll to hit the guy. 3 or higher. 30k. 30k. Okay, so your weapon skill is... your ballistic skill is 4. So, you compare it to the chart there, and if you have a 4 ballistic skill, that means you hit on a 3+. Don't ask me how it works. Alright, but what about weapons skill? 40k. You need a 3 to hit. Okay, 30k. Pay attention to this, fucko. If your weapon skill matches the weapon skill of your opponent, you both hit each other on 4s. But if your weapon skill exceeds your opponent's weapon skill by 1, you hit on 3s. But if you exceed it by more than 1 step, you hit on 2s. But it's the same in the reverse order. If you're 1 step worse than your opponent, you hit on 5s. But if you're 2 steps worse than your opponent, you hit on 6. You see why this gets complicated. Because, yeah, we're all playing Marines, but not every Marine is the same. Each Legion has their own unique squads. I.e., my Ultramarines, I have a Roman Centurion unit, where I have a weapon skill of 5. So, on a regular day, I'm beating regular infantry's asses in because they have a hard time hitting me and hurting me. But my opponent wouldn't know that because guess what? Cool. I didn't know that. Why do you get weapon skill 5? $30K, and then don't even get me started on dreadnoughts and knights. They're treated as vehicles during your opponent's turn. What? What do you mean they're treated as vehicles on my opponent's turn? What the fuck are you talking about? They don't have an armor value, but they're vehicles on my opponent's turn? What? But they act like infantry, but they can't do specific things like infantry can, and oh, my brain hurts now. $30K is not kind to newcomers. It will look them dead in the eye and say, learn it or die. Yes, it is a much more... It looks much more simpler because everybody's mostly playing Marines outside of the outside of the Imperial Army and Mechanicus. It looks simpler, but it's not. But that doesn't mean it's not fun. 30K is a game where it is supposed to be a massive civil war. Everybody is relatively on the same playing field. I.e., we're all in power. Most of us are in power armor. We all got Primarchs. We all got super tanks that 40K would consider relics. This is the time of where the Imperium fell in on itself. And it still gives you tons to work with. Just because we're all playing power armor does not mean we're all playing the same power armor. Ultramarines play very differently to how White Scars play. World Eaters play very differently to how Word Bearers play. My Ultramarines in 30K, we essentially have the Tau Army ability, but even better. If one of our units shoots at a target, if everybody else shoots at that target, everybody else gets +1. So I have a squad of bolt guns that fire at a tank. Sure, I didn't do anything, but now that heavy weapons squad gets +1 to hit, motherfucker. Or how about World Eaters? What are World Eaters? Well, they were the Shock Assault Legion. They were the guys that wanted to get into melee combat as fast as possible. So a lot of their stuff is based around getting to close combat as fast as possible and rewarding you for it. Every army plays differently in Horus Heresy. Yes, we all use tactical squads, we all use Predator tanks, but we all use them differently. We all have our own unique wants and needs when it comes to building our 30K armies. Like, I'm building mechanized Ultramarines. No sane person would do that, but I'm doing it because it's fun. And yes, I am at much more risk of my tanks instantly blowing up. But I also have to look at my opponent and say, cool, so I know which weapon squads to kill first. Very fun. I'll be right back again. I'm sorry. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I'm back again. Holy shit. Hey guys, okay, back. 30K offers tons and tons of options when you are playing it, when you are building your army, everything. It wants you to know that you have options, but options makes things more complicated. Maybe you want to build an Ultramarines army that's focused on infantry. Maybe you want to build a Night Lord's army that's focused on more character hunting. That kind of thing. It gives you tons of options to do that, as well as brought back the Allies chart, which is basically, hey, what other fluff of Legion do I want to include in my army? Which can be very, very difficult, because some armies work very well together, others fucking despise each other. Try getting a Night Lord to get along with most of the other legions. It's not happening. Okay, but the one thing that I want to say before we end stream tonight, and I'm sorry that I ducked out for bathroom needed me. What is the best way to learn the rules over time? Bring the rule book with you in the bathroom. Unironically. If you want to learn how to play the game of Warhammer 40k, get your codex, get your rule book, whatever the fuck, and when you go to the bathroom, sit in there and read the book. Or late at night when you're laying in bed, read it. Learn your rules. That way you know if someone's fucking you over. That way you have it fresh in your mind. And that way you can account for bullshit. And you won't be caught off guard and the game won't be ruined for you. I have a question. Are Halo Wars 2 DLCs canon? They are not. Well, Awakening the Nightmare is canon. Spear Breaker's canon. The multiplayer DLC is not. Anyway. But yeah, those are my helpful tips on how to get more people into tabletop gaming in general. Especially when it comes to Warhammer. And again, I want to remind everybody of something very important here. I do not like being negative. I do not like being tired. I do not like the pieces of shit that have leached themselves onto our community. I fucking despise them with every fiber of my being. Because they're boring, they're tired, they're tiring, and they have nothing. They want the 40k community to die because it's not them. So, I am, out of passion and love for my hobby, I want to get more people into the hobby. I want to create ways for people to find their way in and to come into the hobby as best they can. Whether that be just through reading, playing the game, painting, all that kind of stuff. I want people to come into the hobby. I want more people. I want new fresh perspectives, and I want people to genuinely enjoy this universe that I have enjoyed for over a decade of my life. I was 12 when I got into this, and I'm still into it now. So, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to encourage more people into the space. I'm going to start trying to post more content. I'm getting people into it. I might make a comparison video between 40k and 30k and why one or both might interest you. First, though, comes the Dead Space video. This is a bigger project, and it's taken a bit. But I am getting it done. I'm almost done playing through the entire campaign with my base playthrough again. And then I just gotta record a little bit more footage for alternate dialogue and the secret ending. And then I will begin editing the video. Alright, I hope this helped you guys give a relative understanding of what I want to do and how you can help others get into Warhammer 40k or your communities that you want to get them into. Alright, I love you guys. See you TikTok. And for YouTube people, don't forget, share the stream, all that kind of stuff. Share the videos, everything that you can. Please support me with Ko-fi up here.